Hi, folks. I'm gonna try to keep this real sweet and short. As if you've seen any of my videos at all, you know I'm doing the Hogwarts House Battle, and along with a couple of other readathons in September, and they have weekly challenges for the House Battle. Um, the first week it was a list of types of books you're supposed to find colors on the cover, or one had to have a weapon, and there was a whole list. This week, at least for the YouTube, I didn't look to see what the Twitter and Instagram challenges were because I think they were different this week. But the YouTube challenge seemed like a pretty easy one, so I spent a few minutes putting my list together. We have to spell the name of the house that we're in for the house battles. Now, my kids ages ago made me go onto the Pottermore website and do the sorting hat thing. I've only ever read one of the books and it bored the crap out of me, so I'm going to try to go back and give it another shot because everybody tells me if I can get past the first book and read the second one, because the first book wasn't long enough to have, you know, should have been long enough to catch my interest, but whatever. I'm going to go back and give it another shot, but I got sorted into Gryffindor, so that's just the team I jumped on when I went to the Hogwarts House Battle. Um, so I have to spell the name Gryffindor using titles of books. We're allowed to ignore the article, so like the can be ignored. Um, I also gave myself the extra challenge of I only used books that are either on my TBR, I've read them, or I know it's from a series that I know enough about to feel comfortable using the book. I just don't want to use a book that is awful and make it look like I'm recommending it because it's a part of this thing. So we're just not going to go there. So here we go. G. Grimm's Fairy Tales. I'm reading this for really all three challenges. One of the it's a Hogwarts House Battle that calls for you to read a book only after dark. So I'm making very slow progress. You can see where my bookmark is. Because this is the one I'm reading only at night. And it's nice because it's short enough that I can read and go do something else and come back and because each of the individual fairy tales aren't terribly long. The first R. I'm also currently reading this one because I always have like right now I think I've got three things going: the fairy tales, nonfiction, and a fiction. Um, so my first R is Niney Hammond's The Reckoning. This is the third in a trilogy that I've been dying to finish for a while. Um, I love it. It's good versus evil, angels versus demons. This group of three thought they defeated this thing called an Ifrit when they were 12, and that whole summer it's just wiped from their memories. They don't remember anything. And then when the thing smacks a little bit of it, if for those of you that might think it sounds familiar, but from a completely supernatural angels and demons perspective. Um, so yeah, it's called The Reckoning. It's really good. I'm just about 5 or 6 chapters in, intending to finish this one, and it's finally going to finish the trilogy, which I've been dying to do for a while. So that's the R. This is the only book. I gotta find it. And some of these are ebooks or just pictures of the covers because I don't actually own the books. Um, this is the only one I haven't actually read, but I'm familiar enough with the series to feel pretty confident using it and making it sound like a recommendation. Why? Why is for yesterday? Literally, the letter Y is in the title. Is the title. Sue Grafton wrote an alphabetic series. A is for Alibi. Um, just recently, I want to say within the last year or two, passed away. Um, but she has a recurring female private investigator kind of thing named Kinsey Milhoney, and this is obviously the 25th in the series. Haven't read it yet. I do intend to next year. I think I'm going to spend. I am dedicating 2020 to just reading through things by authors I've either started their recurring character books or got partway and then stopped and need to go back and refresh my brain. So like John Sanford's Lucas Davenport and Sue Grafton's Kinsey Mahoney and Patricia Cornwell's Kay Scarpetta. So I think that's what I'm going to do next year, just to kind of get through all of those books. So that's why. So we've got Grimm's Fairy Tales, The Reckoning, Y is for Yesterday. The first F, loved this book, is Fox by Nadine Brandes. Take the Gunpowder Treason. No, wrong one. Take the Gunpowder Treason. Ta-da, and tie into it the fact that everybody of a certain class, I guess, well, no, pretty much everybody, unless there's a reason, and it's usually a shameful thing, is bonded to a color, and you can literally sort of magically control everything that is that color. So if your color's brown, you can make mud fly up and hit people. Um, but there are two very significant divided factions. One believes that you should only ever bond with one color, and another side believes that it's really cool to actually bond with light, which is all color. And so they took the historical occurrence of the gunpowder treason and added a whole lot of fictional elements. We know for a fact that Guy Fawkes had a son, and so it's actually the son that's the main character. We know next to nothing about his son, so they played with his life a lot in this novel, but I loved it. I read it earlier this year. It's amazing. The next F is by one of my favorite indie authors, absolute faves. Fairy Blood by Ashley McLeod. It is one of her Fanged Fae series. Discovered her in a random Twitter conversation. Started reading her Starseed trilogy, and I've just kind of been arcing everything for her since. I absolutely love her writing. Strong female characters, lots of magic. And I love the fact that she finds a way to make the female character strong and not dependent on a man, but she's not above having them fall in love in a balanced kind of way. So Fox, Fairy Blood. So far we've got Grimm's Fairy Tales, The Reckoning, Why is for Yesterday, Fox, Fairy Blood. I is Influential Magic. I just finished this one. A Fae who, in the process of trying to grieve her brother's death and other things, ends up having to work with vampires in the city where she lives. There's at least one more book. This is at least a duology, maybe a trilogy called Crescent City Fae, but Influential Magic is the IN. I also read this one earlier this year, kind of a departure from the others. Night by Ellie Weissel. Hard to see in the glare. Night by Ellie Weissel. It's an account of life in a German concentration camp during World War II. I'll just leave it at that because it's pretty heavy stuff. I've read it once before and I reread it, and it's just as heavy as I remembered it. D for Gryffindor is Dracula. I will be reading this one as a part of the Monsterathon and the Hogwarts Hospital and the TBR Readathon. It fits in prompts for all of those. This is just a cheesy, trashy romance novel for I gotta find the picture. It's called One is a Promise. The picture kind of gives it away. It's called the Tangled Lies series. I don't know what to read the rest of the series, but who doesn't every so often just need a good old-fashioned trashy romance? And the last R, I'm going back to Ashley McLeod again. I really like her stuff in case you didn't guess. Rising of Three. It is the third and final book in the Starseed trilogy. The very first thing I ever read by her, and I absolutely loved it. Everything about that series, I absolutely adored it. Actually, with Ashley's work, I think I've read two of her series, working my way through the newest book in the third. I just got that one last week. I'm trying to squeeze that in with all my other reading that I'm doing. So yeah, there we are. Gryffindor spelled out in book titles. Grimm's Fairy Tales, Reckoning, Why is for Yesterday, Fox, Fairy Blood, Influential Magic, Night, Dracula, One is a Promise, Rising of Three. Lots of single word titles in there too. Weird, huh? That's it for my weekly Hogwarts House Battle Challenge. Have a great week.